In a season where scoring 60 points is no big deal, Luka Doncic just casually broke 70 against the Atlanta Hawks, and it's time to start wondering whether defenses are going to stop someone from getting to 100. But that's another video I'll do soon. Today, let's examine how we saw the highest scoring output since Kobe Bryant hit 81 back in 2006, and why Luka made it look so easy. The first couple of buckets came with Luka starting off the ball, surprisingly. There he is hiding in the left corner as the Mavs do a little weave out top. They get some zoom action to the left with a pin down into handoff. Jalen Johnson goes under both actions to stay in position, so Derek Lively comes back up for the ball screen with a spread floor. Let's make one thing clear. The fear of a lob to Lively is real, as he is the favorite target of Luka by far. So Clint Capella gets underneath to prevent that, but this just becomes a freight train downhill as Luka puts Johnson in jail and lays it in off the glass. Now they put him in the right corner for that same zoom action with a much better pin down that gets him a two-step head start on Johnson. Again, Capella is sticking with Lively and Luka had an open three, but turns it down, and now he's got the world in front of him. Decent shooters on the left side and an average one on the right. Capella is still so worried about the lob that he's too far away, and watch how Luka takes an extra big step with the right foot to get more space from Johnson, but turns it into a fadeaway while using the glass to make sure no one can block it. On this possession, they cut to the chase with the Lively drag screen out of transition. Capella is chased away by the roll, and watch how Luka uses a pound dribble jab step to get Johnson hopping awkwardly on that right foot. And this 18-footer lets you know Luka's got it going from the outside. Let's not forget he threw 7 dimes as well, so his point total generation was 100 points. And Luka picks on Saddiq Bey, who had a huge head start getting back, but lets Josh Green streak in behind him for the perfect two-handed lead pass into the dunk. If you were wondering whether the Hawks tried to get it out of Luka's hands, here's a pick and roll out top where they doubled him. The problem is, their center Onyeka Okongwu is the guy at the center circle, leaving DeJounte Murray to protect the paint, and that's not a fair fight. To get to 70, you certainly need to find some easy points. So when Bey forces the Euro step and can't finish through a little contact, it left Luka behind the defense with the much smaller Trae Young back to stop him. It's almost weird to see just a regular left-right jump into a lefty layup. This might have been the best defense all night. Young steps up to stop his progress until Bey could recover in front. Here's that same pound dribble into jab step, but from behind the line. That's as good a contest as you can hope for, but now Luka has alerted us that he's on fire! This will look familiar as they pin down into handoff on that left side again. He's got such a head start on his man that Okongwu has to switch onto him, which is fine. He's got the size and quickness to stay with him. The rest of the Hawks stay at home from the very real fear of a kick out, and watch how Luka gallops to his left, then splits for a tween that gets him an advantage. He breaks his normal cadence by letting the ball float before slightly slowing his last step. This gets Okongwu in the air too early and twists into an open bank shot on the way down. The quick strike makes it very hard in the defense to load up, and I love it when Luka becomes a ball screener. Dante Exum sees they screwed up his switch by leaving Luka by himself, where he shoots a two-motion shot as the ball pauses at his set point slightly before generating much of the power with his arms to get it to the hoop. This is one reason why he's only an average three-point shooter due to inconsistency, but it can lead to nights where he's on fire. They run the same zoom action on that left side again, although this time Exum circles around before setting the pin away, catching Johnson unaware. Great recovery by the defense to contain, but look at the unnecessary choppy steps Johnson uses as Luka splits his feet. I like how Luka's right foot moves towards half court as he's pushing off with the left. This gets him an extra ounce of speed into the lane, and Doncic hits him with the Chip Douglas. Maybe his right foot pivot slid an inch or two, but who's counting? Johnson looks like he hit a trampoline by accident, and Luka added a totally unnecessary shot fake until he stepped through for the layup. I'm not even sure if it felt like Luka was on fire in this game as he surgically ripped apart the Hawks' defense, trimming away at the edges until he put his ball in the basket. And it's that same kind of trimming that will keep your ball smoothly going in the basket with Manscaped. While I love their Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra as an unparalleled next-gen groin groomer, it's their brand new face shaver called the Handyman that's a game changer. The most important feature is the dual blade that gets you a quick, close shave. It can handle up to 3 days of growth, it's waterproof for quick and easy cleanup, the battery is rechargeable, and gives you up to 60 minutes of runtime on a single charge. It also features skin-safe technology designed to help reduce nicks and cuts. Best of all, I can save you 20% off this beauty by visiting manscaped.com and using my code BBALL. So get in a groove with Manscaped the same way the Mavericks offense did by using the same pin away into handoff for Luka. And the Hawks felt like they didn't need to change the way they defended it because they kept getting back into good position. It was weird they bring Okongwu up to screen since there were other defenders out there Luka could have attacked much easier. Okongwu tries to lure Doncic into the dreaded mid-range, but look where he picks the ball up, and then where he shoots it from. That's over 5 feet of space created to get this one off, and the quicker he has to release the ball due to defensive pressure, the better Luka shoots since his rhythm improves. On the quick attack, Luka starts reaching into his bag with the cross, tween, behind, forcing Bogdanovic to help all the way to the nail. I'm not even a fan of the short hop gather, but the jab step gets Johnson below the dotted line, so this is like a practice shot. This is where it felt like maybe the Hawks weren't focused enough. Johnson foolishly reaches on the rebound, putting him behind Luka the rest of the way. It felt to me like he could have ran harder and gotten in front. But watch how Holmes hits Capella with the Gortat screen, erasing the last line of defense and allowing a guy who already had 23 points in 12 minutes at this point to just lay it in casually. All this scoring wasn't helping the Mavericks much as they were trailing by 4 and Luka had to remain vigilant to keep his team in it. The tween spin off the step-up screen was a nice touch, but got him 0 separation. Bey doesn't even go for the shot fake, so this is the kind of thing Larry Bird would do as well, just rise up on a fadeaway along the baseline with a high arc that no one can get to. At this point, I'd probably have told the defense to pressure him more to disrupt his rhythm, since this kind of defense, giving him 3 feet of space, isn't going to have an effect. Part of what makes Luka so hard to stop from scoring is the threat of his passing. Now, look at how little pressure he's got all the way into the front court. Atlanta should be ashamed at this. But Capella should be more ashamed since he had a head start on Lively and lets him just run by him for the nice overhead pass and easy dunk. The Mavericks look to be shaping up into something interesting with this very high post entry into Luka, but they just spread the floor for an ISO instead. It was good to see Johnson making Luka a little uncomfortable with some contact while in legal guarding position, but Luka hits him with a toe tap and then quick release with the gather and jump happening at the same time for the foul call and free throws. Watch how Luka uses his eye gaze to convince Johnson he's going to use the double ball screen. The simple split into a tween gets him a free run to the hoop, and once his right foot plants below Capella here, it's over. No way to stop this without fouling him. With a slim lead, perhaps the Hawks felt like they could let Luka go off and keep everyone else under control for the win. Again, I don't know why they attack Capella so much in the pick and roll, who switches and then foolishly tries to hand check. Luka knocks his hand off and gets a step to split the help. Good recovery to force the pass, but now they've got their center on him who prefers protecting the paint, and he's inexplicably late to the hottest guy in the gym. There was no magic offense the Mavericks needed to run, yet another zoom action where the spacing was suboptimal, and you can see why Capella was so scared to leave Lively earlier. Notice the slightest of glances to Jones Jr. that forces Trae Young to move in that direction instead of holding his help on the roll. That's all Luka needs to hit his favorite target for the nice two-handed reverse drop through. The Mavericks run Spain pick and roll where Jones backscreens Capella after the initial switch, finally forcing the matchup they want, Young guarding Luka in the paint. Bey doesn't want to stop run blocking on Lively, and it's mind-boggling that a guy who had 37 points on 10 of 15 shooting up till this point can still get a wide open layup off a 1-2 step. At the end of the half, here was a prime opportunity with the clock running short to just double him and get it out of his hands, and then try and deny him the ball back. Instead, they let him wind the clock down, and Young does come over to double, but instead of getting into position, he reaches in and gives Luka 2 more free throws. Can you hear me shaking my head? So the Hawks had a whole halftime to discuss this and figure something else out, and also hope the break would lead to Luka cooling down. Instead, after Johnson hits the nice layup, he falls down and doesn't hustle back. If I were Murray, I'd have double Luka just for a change of pace. Dare Grant Johnson to be a playmaker. Instead, Capella is left flailing at a step-back jumper that drops clean through for his 44th point in 23 minutes of playing time. It's not like the Mavericks aren't used to Luka getting doubled out of the pick and roll. You can see how comfortable he is with heavy pressure, and he strings them out on the left wing before throwing the no-look laser to Lively for the cram shot. or their preferred way to handle it, hitting the roll man at the free throw line, where they've assembled a team around him that can take advantage of the half-court fast break and define cutters to the basket, or make that same pass in the soft spot of the defense and find the open man with a host of decent shooters getting open shots. Again, check how worried Capella is about the lively lob, allowing Williams to shoot an uncontested floater from the dotted line. So this was embarrassing for the Hawks. Off a made basket, no one picks up Luka on the way back down. Trae Young realizes way late that it's gotta be him, so Luka just runs and catches into the attack. Capella thinks about taking the charge for a second until Luka sidesteps him and draws another pair of free throws, with Luka incredulous that he didn't turn it into an and one. The idea that Luka wouldn't meet any resistance until the three-point line is absurd. And check how he throws the right foot out but then starts to bring it back right before it plants on the floor. This shin angle allows his right hamstring to also act as an accelerant added to the left foot push-off and gets him just enough to absorb clear contact that should have been a foul into the gorgeous runner soft off the glass. Luka says something to the referee and had a good argument. They bring Patty Mills' man up to go screen. I think Patty just wanted to say hi. Hard to believe they'd go under this, and I hope Luka said thank you on the way back down. It was awful nice of the Hawks defense, don't you think? At this point, I was thinking the Hawks had to take some sort of hard foul on him, do something physical to disrupt his flow state. Instead, they let him gallop to the left into a tween back to the right. Bey has to open his hips, and Luka will not let him back in position. He then catches Bey off guard by jumping off the right foot and shooting the floater with the right hand, earning more free throws. I was excited about this double team deep in the corner up until the point Trae Young bails on it, giving the hottest guy in the gym a downhill drive to the baseline. Another float dribble allows him extra and legal steps to get separation as Bey was determined to get to the block, and it's a wide open fadeaway from 14 feet. The Mavericks must have waited till the second half to attack Trae Young in the pick and roll, since when they did do it, lordy, it worked well. Young is easily 3 feet from where he's supposed to be, allowing the easy split of the defenders by Luka. This isn't Bogey's help, but you might as well try it, and when Okongwu drifts into Luka, he was no longer vertical and we got 2 more free throws. DeJounte Murray decides he wants a piece of Luka, but explain to me how no one was guarding Grant Williams. Garrison Matthews is so late to the party and compounds the issue by weakly reaching in on the short hop gather. I know the ref waved this shot off, but the gather happened before the contact, and the other ref comes over to tell him that, so they count it for an and one and 60 points with the whole quarter in front of him. It had been a while since we had seen a three-point attempt from him, and how can there be confusion in transition by the defense? Check Matthews with his hands out wondering who the heck is going to guard this guy, yet another pound dribble jab step that doesn't even get him open, but it doesn't matter on a night like this. His two-motion shot was locked in, he added a few degrees of arc to get it over the contest, and the Mavericks were taking control of this game. At this point, down 7 early in the fourth and Luka at 63 points and counting, it's unconscionable that the defense would continue defending the same way, one-on-one with Johnson. Luka hits him with a tween, then gallop to the left, and it's already over once you're even with him. He keeps Johnson on his side, then extends the last step, while also slowing it down to let Johnson fly by before dropping in the bank shot easy peasy. At this point, I was happy to see someone try and pick him up in the backcourt, but why isn't Bey going underneath this screen to maintain proper position between Luka and the basket? All I wanted to see was a good aggressive double team, not 3 players around him, and that makes for an easy pass, easy shot to extend this lead. Only down 8, but in the bonus, reaching in on a professional ball handler 75 feet from the basket is suboptimal. Stupid defensive plays are also a key component to getting so many points. When guys get this hot, they become a magnet for the ball. So of course the block shot happens to land right in Luka's hands for a 2-on-1 fast break. Trae Young doesn't stop the ball, so he just marches right to the basket, takes the illegal contact, and shoots an off-foot twister soft off the glass for yet another and one that looked like it ended the game early. With Murray trying to deny Luka, they opt to have him ball screen for Exum. The Mavericks missed their best opportunity had Hardaway just slid to this area much earlier for an easy kick out. Instead, the Hawks kinda get into position and at least get someone other than Luka to shoot it. Up by 3, they attack Capella in order to get the roll threat from Lively. Hardaway's man rotates to the midline for help, and we get one of those amazing skip passes from Luka. Hardaway pauses for some reason, the rhythm is thrown off, but because Capella had to contest so far out on the other side, Lively gets the rebound, Young lunges at Luka, and no one even steps towards the best shooter on the Mavs. That's right, Dante Exum has been making 48% of his threes on 2 attempts per game this year. It's hard to believe that someone with 70 points could get yet another open layup. But this Hawks defense is one of the worst in the league for a reason. Capella makes the right move to jump Luka right at half court where the line is another defender, but he takes a bad angle, allowing Luka to split. Johnson was in good position on the rotation, but just lets Doncic ramble right by him as Capella kicks his foot and trips himself while committing the foul, and Luka finishes off this incredible night and the Hawks in one fell swoop. If you want to know if we'll see 100 points in a game, it'll come undoubtedly against a bottom 3 defensive team who also happens to hang around for almost the whole game. And with the kind of pace and space and offensive explosions we see on a nightly basis now, it just seems inevitable.